with RDA, we've talked about his striking. You know, he's got a Muay Thai style. He's got very, very heavy low kicks. He's just got a good all-round fundamental Muay Thai game. You know, if you wanted a good basic game, just like I say, you know, a Glover Teixeira game, he's got great fundamentals on the ground and great fundamentals on the feet. RDA is exactly the same. But when it hits the ground, that's really where he starts to take over. Kevin Lee's a very strong wrestler, and RDA was able to drown him. He was able to just outlast him, out-tough him. And when it got into the fourth round, you know, well, I mean, it just looks rough. It just looks really rough. I mean, there are a few different ways that RDA can get the fight to the floor. The basic power double is an obvious one. You know, drives Kevin Lee to the fence here, lifts him and slams him. And then he deals with wherever he lands on the floor. It doesn't really matter. He can land in guard or side control or half guard or whatever, because his path is the same every time. If he lands in guard, it just adds a different step, an additional step to his passing game. You know, he passes to half guard, passes to side control, maybe even just leapfrogs them, goes straight to side control if he's quick enough. Then it depends on what they do. Usually he wants to keep them on their back so he can take mount. And if he takes mount, then you're going to get ground and pounded. And it's going to feel like you can't move, just like it does when Glover Teixeira is on top of someone and he's working that ground and pound. They start to twist and you know, move in ways that they know they shouldn't do. And if it was a jiu-jitsu match, they wouldn't do it. But because they're getting punched in the face and elbowed and, you know, they're feeling suffocated, and like Kevin Lee, you know, it's into the fourth round, and, you know, he's in this position and he's got this monster on top of him that is a fourth degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I have to state that again. And then we see this horrible kind of grinding, you know, pressure that he has. You can see him digging his chin into Kevin Lee's forehead there. You know, just those horrible little things that those old school guys are really good at. And here you can see Kevin Lee sitting up, palm on the face, pushes him down, and that's where you get that little bit of panic from Kevin Lee. But now look at that little dip of the head from RDA. So look at that, palm on the face, and Kevin Lee's trying to get past that arm, and watch what RDA does. This arm's going to drop down. It's going to come around here, so it's around the neck, and then he's going to circle his head underneath, so it's underneath the tricep. So what he's doing at the moment, there's no loop, but he's going to bring the loop together with this hand and this one. He's going to close that gap, and then he's going to pull the arm towards the head. It's a really nice little process that he has here. So he hooks around the face, so now Kevin Lee's struggling and driving into the left forearm of RDA. At the same time, he's bracing here because he knows that he doesn't want RDA to get past that elbow. But he's also putting pressure into that, which means RDA can feel that pressure on the side of his head. And just like a little roll, he's going to go underneath it, and then he's going to drive his head up into the tricep at the same time as pulling this arm around to close that noose around the head and shoulder of Kevin Lee. See how he drives his head up, eclipsed by the referee. And then here we go. So this is where he closes the loop, palm to palm. Now that's quite a long loop. That's the loop just there. That's what we're looking at. But what's going to happen is he's going to drive down with this shoulder and he's going to pull up with these hands, and that's going to slowly get tighter. And it's going to pull Kevin Lee's arm from this gap here, this nice space there, that's going to get closed, and the shoulder's going to be up against Kevin Lee's ear. And as he's doing, he's going to drive forward and he's going to drive him to the floor. You see how that closes there and the arm goes up to the side of the head. And now that is much tighter. That's the head and arm. That's the arm triangle right there. I mean, the triangle is actually there. That's what we're looking at with the triangle. But the principle's still the same. That is being tightened now around Kevin Lee. So he's being choked on this side with the arm of RDA, and he's being choked on this side by his own arm and shoulder. And you've got to think, I mean, he's been fighting for nearly 20 minutes at this point, and he had good rounds. He started really well. He was lighting RDA up and wrestling him, but you just couldn't maintain it. So you can just see in the background there, he's circling this foot over to this side so he can really get some proper pressure into that shoulder. So now he's off to side control. This is a part of the tightening process because this never loosens off. It's like a zip tie. If space becomes available and it gets closed down, that's it. It doesn't go any bigger after that. It only gets smaller. This is what makes people like RDA such strong grapplers and so successful with any kind of neck or head and arm type of attacks is that they know how to not only get the position, but they also know how to slowly take that, increase that pressure, however you want to say it. I mean, just picture it. It's like a vice. It's like a clamp. And they just don't release it. Eddie Bravo always used to say during training, a black belt squeeze, and that is in my mind what a black belt squeeze is. It's not someone that's got excitement of, oh, I've got it, I'm going to finish, and then they 15 seconds, and then they have to release because they're burning themselves out. It's the jiu-jitsu equivalent to someone hitting someone with a knockout or a concussive shot, and they see them reel, and then all of a sudden they get mad excited and start charging and windmilling. And then the additional detail that I love, which is very much like Glover Teixeira, here we go, we'll see it better from the top position, is the leg wedged under the hips to really emphasize the choke. Here we go. Tightens him down and drives pressure into his shoulder here. Now watch what's going to happen with the feet. He's going to keep this knee on the floor, and he's going to pivot this leg over to the other side. Look at that. Because he doesn't want to get caught in half guard. He's avoiding the potential defenses that Kevin Lee's going to have here. What he doesn't want to do is get excited and do anything explosive and take his pressure or his weight off, because that's going to give Kevin Lee a space to escape. Or it might give him an opportunity to sneer this leg in his half guard and slow down the progress of it. So he goes straight over, hooks on the outside of the thigh, minor details, and then drops himself off. Now watch what happens with his left knee. Because a lot of people keep this at the hip when they do arm triangles, or they just kind of lay it flat out and work more on the squeeze than anything. But he puts it as a wedge underneath Kevin Lee's back. So now Kevin Lee's lower back is off the ground as well. So it's like, so there's now pressure onto the back of his head, which means that the pressure into his neck is even more emphasized. It's a minor detail, but these are the little details that make RDA so effective in this position. There you can see the knee underneath. You can see the fact that Kevin Lee's back is arched there. It's an incredibly uncomfortable position for him. And what you'll notice in the Neil Magny fight is the exact same process. Difference was this was first round, and like I said, I think he found it a bit easier to control welterweights. With Fiziev, there's going to be a window of time, I think, where Fiziev's going to be able to scramble and stuff his takedowns. That's where RDA's toughness and durability might keep him in the fight till the later rounds. It might not, but if it does, then we get into this kind of range. Here we go again, palm on the face. I mean, he's really driving down. That's like if ever you've done, you white belt to blue belt in jiu-jitsu, you'll know that he's setting this up as an armbar here, and he doesn't want to go for it because it's a bit more risky in MMA. But in jiu-jitsu, that is a basic armbar setup right there. Maybe a bit mean pushing on the face, but that's what it's all about. He's going from pushing on the face. He's got his right arm right on the face of Neil Magny, and he's kind of pressing down on the back of his palm with his other hand as well, and then he's going to drop this elbow point to his forehead. Kind of bounces off the top of his head, and he felt the impact of that, and then he starts to turn and do something that he knows he shouldn't be doing. Look where the elbow is. Look where RDA is setting up. He's on the back of the tricep again. He's going under the arms. There we go. The zip tie's closed. He moves his leg over to the other side, and watch how he wedges his knee underneath. And you can see it's his lower back because you can see the Reebok sign there, which you can see is right in the middle. So you can imagine where that knee is. And as Neil Magny turns back into him, he actually brings him up onto the knee. It's a minor detail. Next time you're grappling, if you find yourself in an arm triangle position, just make sure you do this. Make sure you add this in. A lot of the time when people are turning and twisting, you can drive the knee in a bit deeper and take even more space away from them, whilst at the same time, of course, keeping that zip tie closed. Really nice position. Really strong grappling from RDA. Does it get there? Does he get it to the ground? I don't know. I'm not sure.